Came back from a vacation. Okay.
It's been relaxed.
All right. Let's rock. Hello, everyone. Good evening to all of you around the globe who have spared their valuable time to be here with us. A warm welcome to Open Mic Sundays, hosted by United by Inc. It is always a pleasure to be here, and today it's all the more special as it is a privilege to host the open mic storytelling session. Yes, stories are always fascinating to hear, be it any age group. So, I'm assuring you an engaging evening today filled with delight as we have a couple of great storytellers on board today with us. And if at all there are any slips or misses by us, hope you will hear and bear it with a smile. So first, let me start about talking about United by Inc. United by Inc. or UBI, as we call it, is a global platform which connects creative minds. Their vision is simple to create an inked family for passionate creative souls. It is a thriving community of more than 10,000 artists coming together to express their creativity. They are readers, passionate writers, authors, performing artists, painters, and photographers who have the will and passion to showcase their skill and talent. They join UBI on the various social media handles. So if you are one of them, uh, you should be on the platform. So not just that, UBI also provides opportunity to facilitators like uh, you want to publish a book, you contact UBI. Pre and post publishing, marketing or distribution support, translation and proofreading services, all under one roof. For the creativity enthusiast, for the creativity enthusiast in you, and you can reach people around the globe. And UBI also has one unique feature, which is called the Unique Learning Lab program. You can learn various languages or creative skills if you desire to get better in this creative journey of yours. Uh, what is your what is UBI Open Mic? It is an initiative that provides a platform for all artists like us to showcase their hobbies, skills in writing, singing, stand-up comedy, and any other such talent to present to the world. UBI was founded on uh, sometime in February, if I'm not wrong, 2nd February 2018, as a global Facebook page group uh, created by the dashing Mrs. Sapna Shivani Kekre. She is an accomplished author, a multi-talented personality who succeeded in her vision to bring the writing fraternity under one roof. So thank you, Sapna ji, for this wonderful platform community and especially for curating this open mic sessions for us. So let me start the evening without any further delay. Our first writer of the evening is Miss Sheila Iyer. She is a BCom graduate from Swami Vivekanand College, a diploma holder in materials management from Wellinger's Institute of Management Development Research from very own Mumbai, Amchi, Mumbai, India. She was associated with the logistic industry as customer service head pan India for over 16 years. She loves to listen to music and watch comedy shows and theater. She writes poetry in English and Hindi and loves to connect with others. She loves reading books of different genre. Some of her poems and articles are published in the books Speak Your Mind, You Are My Valentine, The Road Taken, Hat Tip, The Teacher I Will Never Forget, Yes Boss, and Life on Tack, just to name a few. Her work is well appreciated on social media platforms. She also writes on different platforms and has won many accolades. So let's hear the story you have picked out for us today, Ms. Iyer. Mic is all yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, am I audible? Thank you so much, Vandana ji, for this wonderful opportunity and the introduction. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila Iyer and I'm from Mumbai. Thank you, Shyam Sundar sir and Sapna ma'am for this wonderful opportunity. I'm very excited and nervous as well because this is my very first attempt in narrating a story. Though I have attempted poetries, but as far as stories are concerned, this is my very first attempt. The story that I'm going to narrate is close to my heart, and you will know why after I finish this. I hope you will all enjoy. So without wasting any more time, I'll begin. The title of my story is The First Time I Saw You. Even though we have been Mrs. and Mr. Iyer for the past 22 years, I smile when I think back to the day I met my husband. One day, while we were relaxing in a garden, he caught me grinning and asked, "Anything funny? Why are you grinning all alone? Won't you share with me?" I heaved a sigh and uttered, "Yes, of course. It's about us. You know, it was a big, big no from my side when I saw you for the first time." "Oh, I never knew this. And why did you reject me?" he asked, astonished. I had visualized a well built person, and having large muscles. I have never been particular about height or skin color. But when I saw you first, my heart and mind said no in unison. "You were fair and tall, but skinny," I said sheepishly. How stupid I was, isn't it? I smirked. "No, that's perfectly okay. Such thoughts are natural during younger days. Hope you're not getting it now," he said and winked. I stared at him, playfully hit him on his shoulder, and whispered, "I'm lucky and feel blessed to have you in my life." Hearing this, he blushed and said, "Tell me the whole story. What made you say yes then?" Okay, let me share this with you. On a Wednesday afternoon, while I was having lunch, I got a call from my aunt asking me to visit her after work. I was surprised, as she usually never calls me on my office number. Like, we didn't have uh, mobiles during that time, so she used to call me on my office number. And I was really surprised. With concern in my voice, I checked, "Is everything fine?" She responded to in affirmative and hung up the phone. Since I had my weekly off on Thursday, I agreed to visit her. I informed mom and left after office hours. I was exhausted as it took 3 hours to reach her place. It was 9 p.m. My aunt was eagerly waiting for me. She had planned to get me to your place. When she broke the news, I screamed in shock as I was not yet ready. But then I conquered, since she had already committed to your family. Moreover, it wasn't a hassle because you stayed only 2 buildings away. My mind raced with numerous thoughts. I tried to keep my calm. Your elder brother and Bhavi welcomed us. She introduced me to you. We exchanged a brief smile. That's it. You then disappeared. Your older brother asked a few questions. I merely shook my head, yes, no, in response. Bhavi was very kind and spoke to me lovingly and made me feel at home. And and what made you say yes? He asked again, his curiosity brimming. I smiled and said, "I was very impressed with your family. The only thing that made me say yes to you. The rest is history." Hearing this, he guffawed and said, "Ha ha. And I thought you instantly said yes to me because I looked handsome. Albeit, we both had a hearty laugh that day. I always thank the Almighty for this. I always thank, I'm sorry, I always thank the Almighty for this blessing. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vandana.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila, for, making us a part of your love story.
Journey.
Yes, really, really, delightful to hear. And um, sometime you must have, said in how many years you've been married now?
Now 23.
Wow. So, he deserves to listen that yes, he was handsome, and that was also one of the reasons you said yes.
He is undoubtedly he is, but it was a story when it was a story about that time, what because we were young, and those thoughts, whatever thoughts I had, I just poured it on a paper. So and made a story out of it. He is, of course, handsome, undoubtedly.
So happy for you. All right. So moving on, I welcome our next guest for the evening, and uh, she's a dear friend, Aarti, and I invite upon you to hold the mic next. I have known her digitally for a couple of years now. We used to write for some contest on common platforms across Facebook, and let me tell you, her storytelling and poetry is as heartwarming as she is. Her creative expressions connects to the heart instantly. So over to you, dear Aarti. And before that, let me, introduce her officially. She is a digital educator and a qualified early education teacher with a passion to teach. She is an avid reader and has a penchant for writing. Her contributions include web content writing, travelogues, and children's stories. These days, she has taken a sabbatical from the creative works. She says, in the future, she hopes to inspire people and create a positive impact on them through her writings and paintings on social causes. We can't wait to hear what you are going to narrate for us today, Aarti. So the mic is all yours. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Vandana. Thank you so much. It always feels like home coming to UBI. Thank you, Sapna ji, Shyam Sundar ji. I mean, we are family. So wherever you go, everywhere you come back, family is where you feel comfortable, safe, loud. So back to be here, so happy. And Sheila, it didn't look like you were narrating for the first time, isn't it? You're fantastic. The story, of course, was so relatable and wonderful that it's your own. Very nice. So I hope to hear some more from you, right?
Thank you.
And Vandana, like she said, we are we're good friends because we connected digitally. We hope we'll meet someday.
Yes.
Yeah. So today's story is about, I think, the empty wallet syndrome. I think our generation Z, often we do come across this, where we feel that, seemingly outwardly we have everything, but inside we lead empty lives. It's sad but existing, and it's becoming increasingly more and more. So it's something on those lines. I'm sorry it's a bit heavy and lengthy, but I think we can connect somewhere, and somewhere we'll try to curb it, through our children maybe. So here it goes. Listen to my song. Dear Diary, I always hear them say that I have everything. Everything, eh? Yes, I do have too much of everything. Sanchi Prakash glanced at the clock and her heart was in her mouth. Hastily stuffing her diary inside her indecently expensive handbag, she rushed to her dressing table for a last touch-up. She peered at herself in the mirror, and a smile creased her face. She liked the reflection that stared back at her. Her recent facelift, the tummy-tuck treatments have gone well. She looked years younger. Her team had worked pretty hard to find her the most flattering costume. Her makeup woman and hairstylist had left no stone unturned to make her look anything but gorgeous. Of course, she was naturally beautiful. Very pleased with herself, she could play out today's scene in her mind's eye. All eyes would be on her. Today, Simia Hoja, her worst rival, would be decimated, finished completely. Ma'am, your limousine is here. Sanchi jumped a little at the sudden intrusion in her thoughts. Nodding her head at her secretary, she grabbed her huge overcoat that covered her surprise costume completely, and went towards her car. Her heart was thudding with great anticipation. As she threw open the front door, the huge crowd that had been waiting for her since the wee hours of the morning went crazy. People scrambled over each other to have just a glimpse of her. Some screamed, some chanted, some fainted. The reporters were all over the place. Sanchi felt powerful, like she was transformed into some primitive demigoddess. People were trying to murder each other just to sacrifice themselves at her altar. She felt a high that people got when they smoked the weed. Dimpling mischievously, she wondered if she should further the high by accidentally letting her overcoat fall. Nana, her team would never forgive her. Her costume would be hidden until the last moment. And when she would reveal it, mayhem would prevail. Her dimples deepened. Dear Diary, I won the Filmfare Award for the Best Actress for the 10th time in a row. That crazy youngster, Simi Ahuja, is finished. All news channels, everyone. None can get enough of my bird of paradise gown. Then I very slowly took off my overcoat. You won't believe, but for a half a minute, there was pin drop silence. The faces looked slightly shocked as if they had beheld a vision. Oh, dear diary, I just cannot explain the sense of power I felt. Power is heady. They are right. I really have everything, no? When Sanchi came back to her empty bungalow, dawn was already breaking. Tipsy from all the celebratory drinks, she screamed around her, completely disoriented. Meena, Meena, she screamed and squinted. Where the hell are you? Her maid rushed to her and very carefully guided her up on the steps towards her room, even as Sanchi hurled abuses at her and nobody in particular. For the next 2 hours, it was quite a task for Meena to get her mistress to sit quietly. And, of course, not before Sanchi threw up and messed up her lakhs of worth bird of paradise dress and the entire room. As Meena looked at the great actress, who had now cooperated more out of tiredness and weakness, had gulped her special concoction and was now snoring like a newborn. The maid had tears in her eyes. She had known her since she had been the little sweet-tempered girl whose only ambition had been to self-love us. Why do you want to self-love us, baby? She had asked her. Sanchi had said, flowers make people happy. I want to sell happiness so I can always be happy. The old woman wiped her tears and dimming the lights muttered gently, sleep peacefully, baby. I hope you'll be happy someday. Dear diary, they say I have everything. Yes, I have. I'm happy, happier than everybody else. I just received news that I have been nominated for the Oscar in a Best Supporting Role. Oh, that is so wonderful. I would be the first Indian actress to win. Why then does my family keep sending me marriage proposals? Oh, I'm meeting one again today, God help me. Raghav was one of the most eligible bachelors of the city. He could marry everybody or anybody, but he chose Sanchi Prakash. Every man worth his salt salivated over Sanchi's celluloid pictures, but as years passed by, he realized he was falling for the woman others couldn't see. He could relate with her. He too was seemingly lonely, but was empty and lonely inside, but seemingly had everything. If they could get together like two empty shells, they could fuse into one whole. It was by sheer luck that he discovered their families knew each other and he had managed to engineer this meeting. As his Rolex showed 8:30, he felt a sudden palpitation. Would she come? He gulped his cognac, closed his eyes, and hoped for the best. Dear diary, he was so handsome and cultured and so understanding, but I felt something different. He's always, he was the dream life partner I always wanted. If our families unite, two empires will unite. It is really the best thing for everybody. Moreover, when he took my hands in his and dropped gentle kisses, oh, my virgin heart soared so high. But it lasted for just seconds. It felt like I was floating way above him. I felt claustrophobic. I felt this urge to rush to the washroom, wash every cent of it. I did just that and ran up. Something wrong with me? But then they say I have everything. Then Sanchi drove back home that night after her meeting with Raghav. One look at her face and Meena, her maid, weep. Her lips shivered, trying to hold back her tears, but valiantly she tried to grab her mistress. Sanchi's eyes were bloodshot from all the crying she had done in her car back home. She pushed Meena away and grabbing a gem-studded sword adorning her wall, she systematically hacked her coveted Gucci handbag. Happy with her handiwork, she rushed towards the stairs to her room, her legs furiously kicking everything in her way. The glass center table, the vases, the porcelain figurines. The before slamming her door shut, her fists found their mark too. They crashed into her mammoth family photo frame. Meena closed her eyes and ears hurriedly. She hated watching the splash of blood on the photo and the sound of crunching glass shards. She shook her head sadly. Yet again, she would have to get the picture restored and reframed. Sanchi grabbed everything she could find in her room and smashed them to pieces. She rushed to her washroom, removed all the makeup from her face, stripped down to her innerwear, and glared at the image in the mirror. Every pore, every scar, every wrinkle was visible. Her body bore witness to the countless trips to the plastic surgeons. Disgust seizing her, she screamed at the top of her lungs, "I hate you. You're nothing. You're empty. I don't want you. I want to go back. I want to wear pigtails. I want to ride on daddy's back and hide my face in mommy's lap. Go away." And crashing down the floor, she saw blood dripping from her arms and legs, slowly stain the washroom. "Dear diary, the Oscars are nearing. My bags are packed. I'm ready. I'm so excited. Oh, isn't it wonderful to have everything?" It was already past 10 a.m. when Sanchi woke up. For a moment, she was tempted to lay back and go back into the covers, never wake up. But no, she was leaving for the award ceremony tomorrow. Today was a major press conference. She woke up with a start, but ouch, her slashed wrists were painful. Meena had bandaged them last night. Sanchi opened them anxiously to check for marks. Thank God, nothing, nobody would know. Smiling, she took a shower, dressed herself, and came down hurriedly, adjusting her new customized Louis Vuitton handbag. The press and the crowds outside were going crazy. She refused the breakfast tray Meena handed her, giving her a quick peck. Sanchi rushed towards the front door and threw it open. There were throngs and throngs of people waiting to get just a glimpse of her. An adrenaline rush seized her. "Dear diary, I won the grand lady. She's in my arms, so precious, so fragile. I have everything, don't I?" So I think we all are like this girl. I mean, in today's gen, I should say, we all have a check for $1 million, but only thing is it's not signed. No, we feel like this. So this story is something very close to my heart because I see so many people around and I feel that everybody is looking for the glamour, for how they look, but inside, I think the simplest things, like I think our generation is probably the last generation to understand that happiness lies in the, simplest of things. So I feel very sorry when I look at so many, especially the younger generation. So
You are right. You are right, Aarti. The Gen Z, like what we call them, yes, they have not seen the real world. What they have seen is only, the digital. And thanks to COVID, it has added to it. That is my feeling.
True.
Agree.
So beautifully narrated. We could picture every, and especially the handbags, So yes,
Thank you so much.
yes, beautiful narration. And yes, Sheila, please.
When you came towards the end, your expressions changed, as if I felt as if you were crying. You actually have tears. The expressions, the tone, everything changed, and it was like you felt it from the heart for this girl, and you will just cry now. That's how you expressed.
And you took us there with you, where you were with your emotions. We could feel you in every word and the way you were, with the story.
This is so heartwarming. I used to win a lot of elocution competitions in my childhood, so this comes back. Thank you so much. I'm glad I've not lost that.
Thank you. Yes, it was awesome, Aarti, and you sure did impress us with your art of storytelling. Simply loved it.
Much, yes. And so now we have one of my very personal favorite writers, Vandana. So I think many of us know her so well on the digital platforms, especially I think Vandana, we met during the Inkathon is when I personally interacted with you.
Yes.
Every prompt I used to look forward. She was one of the writers I used to look forward, especially the verses, so versatile. And you always rose up to to every prompt with a different take. So here we have Vandana. Vandana is a friendly soul, of course, with a compassionate heart. I can see that in every interaction. She's born and raised in Delhi, one of the forefronts of Indian artistic culture, which influenced her to read interesting books from an early age. I also feel that reading improves you as a writer. So great, you started on early. She started writing about 3 years ago. Doesn't look like that. I mean, you already write like a veteran. Doesn't look like you have started only as early as 3 years ago. Her first writings comprised of short stories. She wrote articles and blogs for various digital magazines. She's nowadays actively spilling her ink on various social media groups. As Anais Nin said, we write to taste life twice, in the moment and in retrospect. When writing, she tries to capture vignettes of life, as in a photograph, showing your life through her eyes. She also participated in several open mics and poetry slams. She has also been a part of 3 poetry anthologies and is thoroughly enjoying her ride on this road of the literary world. You can follow her writings on her Insta page, Vandana Oak Writes, and FB Mindful Musings. I think we will, do it. We'll put it on the group, on the message. We'll type her handles. So I hope we'll all follow her and enjoy her spectacular writings. Vandana, over to you. I'm very eager to see your story, which is going to be as special. Over to you, Vandana. All yours. Vandana, I think you're unmuted. I'm sorry. I think you're unmuted. I'm sorry, you're muted.
Yes. So thank you for such kind words of praise, Aarti. And I really don't know if I am that. I have it in me, but yes, I enjoy writing and especially reading what others write. And before I go on, I would like to thank UBI, um, uh, my dear friend Shivani Sapna Kekre and Shyam Sundar sir, who are like the pillars of UBI. And this platform will always remain special and close to my heart, because this is where I started writing, spilling my ink. And UBI provides such beautiful prompts, and the writers weave their thoughts into poems and stories. I started my journey here, and of course, the inked marathons, they are really special. Waiting for this year's so keenly, Sapnaji. So, uh, today's story I will start, which is based on one of the contest prompts given by UBI. It is called The Lighthouse. So, here is my take on this word. So, here on, my friends. He walked amidst the loud, thunderous claps towards the white marble statue, which was built in the center of the new park. Its long pedestal was decorated with beautiful flower bouquets lined all along it. Sharad turned slowly and looked at the crowd in joyful pride. This great man needs no introduction. He has touched the heart of each and every member of our society, definitely in some ways or the other. His selfless acts of kindness will be cherished by each of us present here today. And the wafting sweet fragrance of the flowers took him back in the garden of sweet memories. Sharad remembered the day when he had just moved into the society. He was stranded with huge cartons, all ready to be moved inside his locked house, whose key he had misplaced somehow. Right then, he saw a pleasant-looking, middle-aged man walking over to him after seeing his hassled face. Within minutes, that man arranged for a locksmith, called a few other people, and started bringing in the boxes and the furniture pieces into the house. Not only did the kind soul help him with this stuff, but supplied Sharad with hot tea and a homely dinner for the day. In later years, this gentleman even guided and helped him financially to buy that house he was renting. Sharad then forced his reverie back to the present, and he calmly said, Prakash uncle was our one-man army. Since he never married, he was available 24/7 to serve us in every possible way, be it running around for someone's school admissions, accompanying the senior citizens living on their own for their doctor appointments, feeding and caring for the stray dogs, keeping a strict vigilance on the security guards, advocating like a marriage counselor for the troubled couples in our society, or just staying overnight at the hospital for any person in need. The list of his gracious acts are endless. And how can we forget that the kind of money he had, he was far too simple and modest. That is why today we are able to build this park in our premises with all the money he left for our newly formed cooperative society. Sharath again got lost in his thoughts and recalled what Prakash uncle told him that long back when this side of the city was expanding. Prakash uncle's parental land was luckily bought over by New Age builders to construct a modern locality here. He just asked the builder to give him one flat there, apart from the large sum of money which he invested cautiously. Prakash uncle lived off the huge interest he earned on that money. Sharad again forced himself back from his flight of thoughts and addressed the spectators loudly. With all his contacts and monetary power, he always had the ultimate solution for any problem we faced. It is because of Prakash uncle that we today have a corporation water supply and new electrical meters in our society. His dedication and benevolence knows no bounds, and that is why when the deadly corona hit us, he continued to serve us like a frontliner of our society. From preparing home-cooked meals for the sick or supplying groceries to the elderly, he never ceased to help. Sharad's throat was now choked with sorrow, and with a muffled voice he continued, "But God had something else planned for him and us. He contacted the deadly virus and left us all in grief and pain." Everyone seated in the compound rose up with teary eyes and applauding hands as Sharad continued. He was truly a lighthouse that beamed day and night for the goodness of everyone. This statue will symbolize him like the lighthouse of compassion that beckons us all as we save as we sail through the sea called life and without him around. And with involuntary tears gleaming in his eyes, Sharad put the garland of fresh marigold flowers across the statue of everyone's beloved Prakash uncle. Thank you.
That was so wonderful. And you have this very comfortable, very nice, comforting voice. We could hear on and on and on. The story, of course, fit the prompt and very nice. We don't need such more and more people who don't just think selfishly about themselves, but we need to grow as a society. We have become too selfish, too self-centered. Beautiful, Vandana. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Thank you, Aarti.
Yeah, as Aarti said, we really, there are very few people who do not think about just themselves, but the society as well. And they go around helping them. You will find very less people. And the story, I love the story. It was a very heart-touching story. And I loved your voice as well.
Thank you so much. So I think we still have time. So Sheila, would you like to, narrate something short you have handy with you? Or Aarti?
My short stories are quite long, so I think Sheila, over to you. I have a lot to speak because.
Okay. I give Sheila time to, think over what she's going to narrate. Till then, I will quickly recite a short prose, like a story, which is one of my recent in the sense I just wrote it yesterday. So here it goes. Why me? Always being a rejection among the crowd, I have seen seclusion from close quarters. I have tasted dejection. I have often seen myself sinking and plunging to the deep, dark bottoms of the sea. I am an abandoned ship which has been left in the lurch and casted away by the waves. With not a single soul on board, the lifeless silence on the deck has often swelled me whole. I have seen myself rusting, corroding, and the pain of my decaying fragments do not let me draw a single breath smoothly. I feel haunted with blue devils roaming the hallways of my being. Echoes of my sobs and sighs relinquish the drifting life that remains of me, and yet my buoyancy has eased off the wrinkled creases of my body, as if all was alive and kicking. I have seen myself filled with wonder for desperately needing to be remodeled and reconstructed, ready and bristling again with life and good cheer. Perhaps I never gave credence to the fact that resilience to swim back to life lied deep within me. But then, what is the use of being salvaged if no one is there to bandage my injured feelings and wounded sentiments? Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Really, very heart touching. And we often, I think we all have these questions. What is the point? Isn't it? But then that is a point. And you have to find for salvation as you, solution as you, problem as you.
Yes, and
But
everything
you have,
lies deep within you.
yeah, hope is also you. So you have to go back to the hope, get her back and move on. Beautiful poem, Vandana. Really good.
And rejection, we need to accept. Only then we can walk on the road to success. Otherwise, that I have learned. Rejection is something that you need to accept and work on it. I was a bit rejection नहीं rejection कोई reject कर दिया कैसे होगा क्या, but that I have learned out of by moving ahead, by learning from my rejections how
Yes,
to go ahead.
experience, age, it makes you learn. It
Exactly.
gives you the courage to face everything.
Correct. Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Sheila, do you have something for us?
yeah, I do have. I just a second.
Okay.
Yeah. So should I go ahead?
Yes, over to you.
Now, the story is about Hiroshima. I had written this some time ago, and I would like to share a story on this. Okay. My story goes this. Sheldon had not met his aunt for a long time. So one afternoon, he decided to visit her and left for Hiroshima. One day, on an evening stroll, his eyes fell on a castle. Oh, what a beautiful castle, Auntie. Sheldon, the original one was blown up by the atomic bomb that hit Hiroshima. This one is a replica built recently. Many memorable structures and the beautiful sugarcane garden were also destroyed. You know, son, just 2 pounds of uranium wiped out the city. The bomb was named Little Boy, but the destruction was huge. Many were buried alive in the debris of their homes. Destruction like this can happen in a blink of an eye. The beautiful city that was blooming with life turned into a graveyard in seconds. Further down the lane, Sheldon saw a monument and was curious to know about it. His aunt's eyes became moist. She quickly dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief and then narrated. This was constructed in the memory of late Korean victims who used to work in the factory that manufactured arms and ammunition. So, were there any survivors? Sheldon inquired. Yes, there were a few. I am one among them. It was peak summer and the sun was shining brightly. Suddenly, a strident sound hit our ears and the city slipped into darkness. Mushroom clouds were floating in the sky. I was injured and could barely walk, but managed to reach home. My beautiful house had turned into a heap of dust. The hospital in which my mom was working was now a burnt field. It seemed like a nightmare. I ran from pillar to post in search of mom and finally found her. Felt great relief and embraced. A few days later, my dad passed away due to acute leukemia caused by the radiations from the atomic bomb. A month later, my mom followed him. Oh, so much torment and suffering you went through, expressed Sheldon. Yes, dear, but the agony didn't end here. The after effects were scarier. I started feeling exhausted often. I even wanted to end my life when one day I accidentally met my friend's father. I poured my heart out and told him about my sufferings. He consoled me and informed me that he too lost his children and wife. At that time, he felt immensely devastated and didn't have an urge to live. But soon he realized he was one of the fortunate people to survive. And if he had chosen to give up, he would be spiritually defeated. His words soothed my soul. I decided to live and appreciate this life. Many feared that nothing would grow on the decimated earth, not even a weed. But surprisingly, greens started to grow. The following year, oleanders bloomed as if to embrace the victims who lost their lives. Hope and strong spirit gave us the strength to dispel our worries, and the irreparable city started to bloom again, like the oleander flowers. Thank you.
Wow, what a beautiful message, you gave, Sheila, through your story of Hiroshima. Open faith.
It was a very difficult period, and while writing this story itself, I was in tears because those things we have not faced, we have only heard.
Yes,
And when I was writing this, my hands were shivering, I was in tears. So that hard it was, though. I mean, it is a story. Right now, it's a story, but they have gone through all this.
yes,
So
And you
they have
have,
lived this.
yeah.
they have
And
lived the life.
Sheila, you have brought it out so well because we have not experienced that. But this is what, see, actions have consequences, and
Mhm.
death, birth, these are the things that moves you. You can be in any part of the world, but these are the things that tragic, they leave long-term consequences. Very beautiful. And you also narrated that. I could feel that, your voice was trembling. You're trying to hold in your
Yes,
emotions.
yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Heart-warming, really, heart touching.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sheila.
Vandana ji. Thank you, Aarti.
All right, so I hope our listeners and um, both of you had a lovely time with us today here on the Open Mic Sundays with United by Ink. And it is a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Ms. Sheila and Aarti, for being here with us. So on that note, I would like to thank everyone who has joined us on our YouTube channel. And if you want to showcase your skill, your love for poetry, your love for story writing, or any other skill you have, so kindly get in touch with any of us. Uh, you can leave a comment on the YouTube channel, and you could be up here on the open mic session, which is held every Sundays at 4 p.m. India time. So thank you everyone for being here with us. So on that note,